Yeah, this is the one downside of running this over like Boros, for example. Like, you have very similar matchups to Boros, being very good against creature decks, reasonably well set up against Delver, and like weak to Tron, for example. So all of that overlaps with Boros, but your sideboard options against Boggles are much worse because you don't have access to Standard Bearer, you don't have access to Prismatic Strands, Circle of Protection Green, all of those cards, Krark, Clan Shaman. You lose out on access to those, and so Boggles gets a lot worse. Okay, this looks like a keepable hand in the dark, even though once again these bounce lands are pretty clunky and don't give us access to our lightning bolt all too quickly. Yeah, I think more of that is not really what I'm interested in. Well, getting to 5 mana is something that I am interested in. What is opponent playing? Presumably no information. Double queuing Friendly Pauper League, that can't be correct because I am in the Friendly Pauper League. MTG board once again confused and lagging behind, which can tend to happen. I'll check their recent deck selections manually, though I guess if my bot hasn't come up with anything yet, that just means they don't have any notable results to show for in Pauper. Yeah, looks like they don't have any 5-0 lists listed, so I'm completely in the dark as to what my opponent is playing. Is One Land Spy a real Pauper deck is the question that I missed previously and that has inspired a lot of discussion. I mean, I don't think so. If by real you mean it's like a tier 2 or better deck and capable of winning tournament games, no, definitely not. Is it a real like tier 3 fun deck that people can play, and if they enjoy it then it's a fine choice? Yes, that is the case. It does some powerful things, but it's not like a truly competitive deck at all. Yeah, I think bottom both, I agree. The Boiler Works is something that you can consider. In some matchups it would end up being favorable to me to get up to Muldrifter mana off of just the 3 lands with 2 bounce lands and an island, but all of it is pretty slow, and I would rather find, well, I end up finding another Boiler Works regardless, but yeah, I would rather find a Counterspell, a Flame Slash, a creature to play in the early turns if my opponent ends up not doing anything I really care about and I don't end up finding a Counterspell, then I could tap out a little bit. So that seems to be the case here, though Affinity probably also not the greatest matchup. I mean, I'm probably favored as long as I stop Aatrox from resolving, but my current hand is set up in a way where I might just get overrun by Mirror Enforcers or die to an Aatrox, because I currently don't have any stack-based interaction, and my damage-based removal is not great at fighting a resolved Aatrox. This has been the greatest the Deep Analysis has been all league, because I finally got to discard it to hand size, and I don't have to bother with the overpriced front side. But yeah, still not a fan of this inclusion. I could see it as a one-off in the sideboard to fight blue-black and mono-black and Tron, but I don't want this in my main deck at all. I would rather have like a main deck Electricity or something that specifically targets weaker matchups, gives me a little bit more of a fighting chance against Boggles, which is not a great concern to me even though we just lost to it. But like Elves is a pretty widely played deck, and obviously Blue-Red Delver is very widely played. You want to have some outs to Battle Screech in the Boros matchup, so I think that's a much more appropriate tech card for the current meta than just running like a Deep Analysis. My hand still doesn't really do anything. I really want a counter spell so that I don't get ATOG'd out. So I can brainstorm towards that. Sure. But if I miss on a shuffle effect here, the brainstorm ends up being super awkward. I wanted to do it main phase so that I can still use both Evolving Wilds and Orgriff Bolas as a follow-up if I end up missing on the counterspell. But I did get there. Flame Slash is also a nice thing to find. Do I want to get rid of the Boiler Works or the Mountain? I mean, this turn I can't get rid of anything because I want to keep double blue open. But the point is I get to preordain one of those to the bottom. I think I'll get rid of the Boiler Works. Though, yeah, if I end up missing land drops because of that, that can turn out awkward. But yeah, bouncing my untapped lands at the moment for a clunky tapped land seems like a great way to fall behind. Well, I guess, no, I should have drawn... Wait, no, I got rid of the Boiler Works. Yeah, that's nice, because I do need my untapped mountain to be able to Flame Slash. And I need my Boiler Works to provide me... It just provides me the blue and the red mana. God damn it. I did not want to counterspell these. I guess I'm not going to, because I need both an answer to Gearseeker Serpent. Well, I guess now I have to, because I'm falling too far behind on the board, but yeah. I would have preferred to hold my counterspell for Gearseeker Serpent and ATOG, because those I can't deal with my Flame Slash. But once the third 4/4 comes down, I am kind of obligated to fight for the board a little bit more aggressively. And then most probably just recur the Flame Slash with my Archaeomancer. Yeah, I guess at that point it's correct to just do that right away. It plays around Metallic Rebuke, which I avoided on my opponent's last turn by only countering the last threat instead of the one where they still had mana open. But yeah, I'm very likely to just die to ATOG in this game. Or Gearseeker Serpent, I guess. Double Thoughtcast, that's very unfortunate. Yeah, my opponent's kind of just running me over here. Their draw was not particularly explosive, but they drew all the cards that are... Well, not all of the cards, but many of the cards that are good. Which is never drawing Frogmite, never drawing... Springleaf Drum, whatever the equipment is called, Flayer Husk, those are like the bad cards, and drawing mono for all four Thoughtcast. Yeah, Thoughtcast is like your best card in the matchup, followed by ATOG and then all the 4/4s. And my opponent found a draw of all 4 Thoughtcasts in the top 20 cards, as well as only 4/4s as their threats. So I ended up in a pretty awful position here. I mean, my Flame Slash will still allow me to keep up with the board a little bit. Guess I'll need the extra Archaeomancer and just hope to Flame Slash my way through my opponent's board. But yeah, not looking great. Because now they have all the resources to just ATOG fling me out. They can just play like a bunch of random creatures and that is likely going to be good enough. I can try to block Flicker, but then I lose my Flicker once they Galvanic Blast me, though maybe that's good enough because I'm preventing 4 damage from the creature and then 4 damage from the Galvanic Blast, so that buys me a lot of time. Yeah. It's a very wasteful usage of my Flicker, but it does buy me a lot of life cushion this way. Yeah, I prevented 8 damage. Gets me much further away. from a true flicker lock, but the Galvanic Blast was always going to disrupt the true flicker lock. Hive Mind into one with nothing. Yeah. Okay, so that can potentially reinstall my hopes of flicker locking. Though for now I just have to deal with the board. I guess there's some hope because my opponent has not yet cast an Atop or Gearseeker Serpent, so they might just be flooding out, have a bunch of lands in their hand, potentially some additional Galvanic Blasts. Because I can't really explain their 4 cards in hand while not casting anything. I guess Metallic Rebuke is still a possibility, because they would have rather Galvanic blasted me instead of countering. Okay, yeah, Galvanic Blast makes sense for something that is stuck in their hand. Well, I dealt with the board. Now I just need to cross my fingers there's no creature with 5 or more toughness coming out. And they can't really generate more card advantage than they already did. Because they're... I guess I can... No, I want to cast the Archaeomancer in a way that... Wait, this is my last Archaeomancer though. Oh, I guess I do have an extra flicker still. Yeah, I'll just get a Counterspell. I think that's the card that best protects me from Atog and Gearseeker Serpent. I could have Deep Analysis first, but I wanted to play around Metallic Rebuke so my Archaeomancer doesn't get countered, so I can still pay for the Metallic Rebuke and get guaranteed value out of it. Okay, things are actually looking slightly better now. Opponent seems to be flooding out, though they probably still have some amount of burn in their hand. Like Temur Battle Rage and Fling could actually be stuck in their hand because they only really do something when there's a board presence available already, and they don't currently have a board presence, so they could be holding on to those. It's possible they just slow roll Springleaf Dome or something to leave me in the dark about the exact contents of their hand, though don't really see a lot of advantage to that. But yeah, as long as I'm not dying right now, I feel like there's a great chance I can just stabilize from here with the Counterspell in my hand. More lands, yeah, definitely like seeing that. Now I get to Brainstorm to improve my hand, though this runs into Metallic Rebuke, the opponent decided not to do that. Yeah, the amount of red sources I have available should be fine. Blue is a much more scarce resource. Can't really go for any kind of flicker lock anymore with only 1 flicker left in my deck and 0 Archaeomancers. But yeah, from here I can probably just end the game with Dirtly Creature Beatdown and double Counterspell back up. Could have used the Brainstorm to set up Augur of Bolas with a guaranteed hit, but I already had so many dead cards stuck in my hand that just shuffling them away seemed more beneficial, and gamble a little bit on the Augur with how threat dense or how spell dense my deck is. That seemed like a fine gamble to take. And getting close to just burning my opponent out. Yeah, there's 2 more turns of attacks, and I have 2 counterspells, so that seems to line up pretty much perfectly. Yeah, I don't care about that, because I can Harvest Pyre or Scred it down. Okay, they just give up. Perfect. Just had to consider for a second whether Fling combined with some Galvanic Blast combination in my opponent's hand could be a threat, but I think I was just going to let this resolve and then Scred it down. and then keep the counter spell for the aforementioned Gearseeker Serpent and Aatrox. Okay, so I want Hydroblast and I want Pyroblast. Seems a little bit like unintuitive to board in a bunch of like anti-color blasts against the presumably colorless deck, but you care mostly about Thoughtcast and Gearseeker Serpent and Aatrox, which and Galvanic Blast a little bit, but Fling as well. So this counters Fling, Aatrox, and Galvanic Blast, and this counters Gearseeker Serpent and Thoughtcast. And Arc Lightning is pretty bad. Your Lightning Bolts are pretty low impact, though occasionally you can jump block with Augur of Bolas or Seagate Oracle and then Lightning Bolt the creature afterwards. So it's possible I want some of these still left in my deck, not the Arc Lightning, but some of the Lightning Bolts. Arc Lightning does seem bad. I don't know, I just copied the deck list as it was, which made top 8 of the Pauper Challenge last Sunday. But yeah, it does help, for example, against Elves or Stumpy, that you can use this as a kind of electricity replacement, but it also kills a 2 toughness creature. And yeah, definitely Shaman is coming in. I did not overlook that. I was just like planning what my sideboard plan was going to look like. Like the upside of this is that you can, for example, kill a Netta Sentinel and a Quirion Ranger, while Electricity can punish 1 toughness creatures but can't kill a 2 toughness creature at the same time, or also kill a Delver and a Spellstutter Sprite or something. So there's definitely upsides to this, but 3 mana sorcery seems too expensive of a setup for this effect. The Deep Analysis can come out, and then the Flame Slash has to come in for sure against the mono 4/4 deck. Maybe cut one of the Flickers because that's not so relevant. And then I'm not certain if I ever want Dispel. Those look a little tempting. And also, yeah, I could keep some more Lightning Bolts in my deck, but for now I'm going to try without Lightning Bolts and hope that I don't run out of removal. Well, that's an easy mulligan. So yeah, why any card? Because it was in the deck when I copied it and I wanted to try it in its original form. But yeah, I can explain why the card is there, but I don't really agree with it either. And Deep Analysis and Arc Lightning are probably my first 2 cuts from this deck to add in something else and improve upon it, most likely improve it. But I like just giving the deck in its original configuration a shot before making some changes. Okay, I think I'll keep this, even though it's pretty bad. This bottom, because I already have a bunch of cantripping creatures that are a little bit too clunky for the matchup. Though hopefully Augur and Seagate can provide me some spells that help me catch up. So it's more likely for me to draw a 1 mana blue spell than it is for me to draw a 1 mana red spell. But the red spells are a lot more impactful. So I think I'll mount in turn 1. If I end up casting Augur turn 2, it doesn't make a difference. But it makes a huge difference if I decide to play something off of the land and then play a tapped Izzet Boilerworks. So, and I think my chances are like slightly, maybe like 60-40 towards a blue spell, but I'm fine keeping a Brainstorm in my hand a little bit longer. I'm fine even keeping a Preordain in my hand a little bit longer. But like casting the difference between casting a Flame Slash and not casting a Flame Slash is huge. If they go like turn to Carapace Forger, for example, then being able to Flame Slash Carapace Forger and then tap out for Izzet Boilerworks is a huge upside. Now, I did draw the Brainstorm, but as I said, I don't really mind too much. Though now I am facing the difficult decision whether I want to set up Seagate Oracle for my turn 3 or just Augur right away, because the Augur might allow me to curve out a little bit smoother. Yeah, I guess this tapped land has to be put down at some point. And now is a time where I can still afford it reasonably well, though now my opponent knows that they can resolve their Thoughtcasts, resolve their Atogs. All of those are going to be painful for me. I can set up a guaranteed Augur hit with the Brainstorm. I can still do that by replaying Island instead of Mountain. But yeah, I don't like my spot here, even though my opponent still hasn't done much. But like, my hand doesn't have any comeback mechanics to my opponent putting a creature onto the board already. And I'm not even well set up against the cards that really matter in the matchup. So pretty scary. So I can Augur blindly and try to find a Flame Slash. Scrat doesn't do it for me yet. So Flame Slash, there's 3 Flame Slashes in the deck. So I guess that gives me a super low chance of doing that. Yeah, I guess I'll just tap out for Seagate now, but yeah, as I said, this is not the way to win the matchup. Not only am I vulnerable to my opponent just Pyroblasting or Metallic Rebuking me here. Oh, that was the best card to find though. But also, they get to resolve something scary here on the turn where I'm tapped out. Well, that doesn't count. That's not something scary. Though it does provide them with plenty of colored mana now. What the hell? White mana? Standard? Oh no, just cycling through it. Just white mana because it's the first mana available on the 5-color selection menu. And they wanted to cycle through their Chromatic Star regardless, just to get the extra card and see if they hit something relevant, which makes sense. Okay, so I think I'll Brainstorm, see if my opponent fights over that, which I would be fine with. Nice. Shaman is pretty nice. Though I'm still like slightly behind in terms of fighting for the board, with only 1 Flame Slash available to me. And my counter spell can't really be kept open all that well, because I do need to Flame Slash one of their creatures here, I'm pretty sure. No lands for you. It's going to take a while before it's no lands for them. But yeah, that is the plan for sure. So I think the Flicker can definitely go. And then like I can either blow up one of the lands and then look to untap with the Shaman, or just probably just want to Augur, so that I can improve my draw. But yeah, under quite a bit of pressure here, and if my opponent top decks well. Thank you, Paragon City Games, for your host. Yeah, this is not great for me. I think I have to fight over that. And then just use the Ash Barrens as my shuffle outlet. Luckily, the Frogmite just runs into Seagate, or the Seagate requires a Galvanic Blast from my opponent, both of which I'm fine with. But yeah, I desperately need to find another Flame Slash. There's a lot of pressure on me drawing an above average amount of Flame Slash in this matchup. Though these creatures can help stall the board for a little bit. Okay, that's nice though. Well, I guess it's time for no creatures for them, assuming there's no Hydroblast coming out. And against the Hydroblast, I would just Counterspell back as well. I can afford to take 4 more damage, and then from there the game should be locked up if they don't Galvanic Blast my Gorilla Shaman, and even if they do, they're still in a pretty terrible position. Okay. Nice, nice. Okay, now I like my spot. That's understatement of the year. Darkseer Citadel is unfair though. Please nerf. Not even floating, no. If they have nothing to cast, then there's no real reason to float. Could double block here, but the Frogmite is so irrelevant that I don't really see a reason to double block. Still slightly scared to somehow get Galvanic blasted out, but yeah, they would have blasted my Gorilla Shaman if they had it in hand, I assume. So yeah, now we should be safe with the counterspell open from now on. Let's deal with the Myr Enforcer before they can Metallic Rebuke me. I guess I could pay for the Metallic Rebuke regardless, but yeah, let's just do that. I guess I can fetch beforehand so that I can keep one of my spells in the graveyard for later Archaeomancer top decks. Get rid of the lands and keep the Flame Slash around, I think. Yeah, I can blow up their Prism and Springleaf Drums at some point, that's true. Though I think just keeping counter mana open is going to be more safe for the time being. They have like multiple Springleaf Drums and a Prism, so their ability to generate colored mana is pretty difficult to undermine. Their ability to resolve spells is much easier to undermine. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to end up spending 5 mana on blowing up this Prophetic Prism. I think the game is going to go a different way, though I might eat my words at some point. But for now I have so much stuff still to do. I want to keep this counterspell open every turn, and also want to develop these creatures, and the creatures are likely to draw me into more spells. So I'll be pretty busy spending my mana and not necessarily using this Gorilla Shaman all that much. Though the threat of the Gorilla Shaman is still amazing. Carapace Forger. Okay, time to cash in my counterspell. There's definitely still scarier stuff that can come down, but I guess even the Aatrox is kind of bottlenecked now by the low amount of artifacts they have left. And they will never have the capability of Aatroxing, and then Rainstorm sets up my Augur potentially. And if I miss on spells, then I can Seagate to get through my bad cards. So yeah, let's Brainstorm. Yeah, they don't really have enough artifacts built up to Aatrox me out, and they don't have enough mana available to like cast an Aatrox and fling in the same turn or something. Archaeomancer seems amazing as a way to both get back Harvest Pyre or Counterspell. Yeah, I did whiff on the spells, so I guess Augurs are the things that I put back, and I take one of them into my hand and the other one on the bottom of my library, so that I can keep making my land drops set up for Archaeomancer shenanigans. Would be pretty unhappy if I get double Galvanic blasted, but there was not really a way for me to play around that when I currently couldn't deal with the 4/4 on the board either. I really needed to spend my counterspell there. Okay, they Galvanic blast my Mox Ape. Mox Monkey. What? Mox Monkey is obviously the nickname. That makes a lot more sense. But yeah, now game should be locked up. I didn't really care about the Gorilla Shaman all that much anymore. Like, I barely had the mana to even activate it, and the difference between them having a Great Furnace and not having a Great Furnace also isn't that big, because I'm intending to counter all their spells. Let's get myself a counter spell. Though I guess I could have sequenced this better by first looking at what my Augur has to offer. But yeah, Ghostly Flicker seems amazing here, even over the extra counterspell. And once again start closing out the game with random 1-power creatures. I really did not expect to win game 1 though. This game kind of played out in a way where it was clear pretty quickly that I could be in a good shape. Like the Flame Slash and Harvest Pyre showed up right on time for me to stabilize, and then from there on it was kind of easy going. Okay, Mancer can set up like a true lock at some point, though not yet. I'll just keep open Ghostly Flicker and go for some value flicker shenanigans, because I still have Hydroblast and Counterspell to protect me from it getting disrupted by Galvanic Blast. Guess I'm opening myself up to Dispel by doing this. But even if they counter it for a single turn, it's not that bad. I just Archaeomancer back my Counterspell and they're locked out. So yeah, if they have Pyroblast or Wizard Tribal is indeed too strong. If they have Pyroblast or Galvanic Blast, it doesn't do anything here. Wait, why would I have to target these two, of course? Why would I flicker an Augur? I mean, it gives me an extra look at a spell, but getting looks at a guaranteed card draw seems much better. Lightning Bolt, what the hell? Who plays Lightning Bolt in their Affinity deck? That is quite unusual. I mean, it's the same thing I just discussed, that it doesn't do anything, but I have never seen anyone do that. Quite surprised by that. Okay, I'll be right back and then we'll play round 5 of this league.